Well, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Take 5. It is Thursday, June 9th, 2011. We're in Matthew 24, verse 3. As he sat down on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the close of the age?" And Jesus answered them, "See that no one leads you astray. For many will come in my name, saying, 'I am the Christ,' and they will lead many astray. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not alarmed, for this must take place, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are but the beginning of the birth pains. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and put you to death, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will fall away and betray one another and hate one another. And many false prophets will arise and lead many astray. And because lawlessness will be increased, the love of many will grow cold. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come." All right, now there are different Bible scholars disagree on the time frame Jesus is talking about here, and I don't even profess to be a Bible scholar, but I'm going to give you my best shot at it, and you're certainly welcome to disagree and do the research. The disciples had just been discussing the destruction of the temple, and so now they're asking Jesus, when's this going to happen, and what are going to be the signs of the close of the age, or the end of the age? And I believe Jesus is talking about and the disciples are talking about the end of the age of Judaism, the end of the age of God's old covenant, which then it wouldn't have been considered the old covenant, but that covenant with that people, the end of the Jews as his chosen people as a nation. And that end came in AD 70. And if you look at the historical events around this time, there were earthquakes, and there were wars and rumors of wars and things like that. Just do a little research on that. But I think more particularly it tends toward that being the date, because Jesus seems to be saying personally they're going to deliver you up to tribulation and put you to death. And he's just warning these disciples they're going to be put to death. And all of them we know were martyred except for the Apostle John, and Jesus had said that he might not be at the end of John 21, and he did die in exile on the Isle of Patmos, but all the rest suffered martyrs' deaths, so they were put to death, and the nations did hate them. There was a worldwide persecution of Christianity right before the fall of Jerusalem. So, and he says this interesting thing too here in verse 14, "And this gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world." And then if you look at Colossians chapter 1, which was probably written sometime around 64, 65 AD, in verse 28, it says, whoops, that's not the one I was looking for, but there is a verse in Colossians 1 that seems to indicate that the Word of God was preached to every creature. So check it out somewhere in Colossians chapter 1, I believe, said the gospel had gone out to every creature under heaven. Now, I don't believe that is literal, the whole world. I mean, but it just means basically the gospel was spread everywhere. So everybody had an opportunity to hear the gospel. Those apostles did a tremendous job. You know, Jesus gave them the commission to go into all the world, and they really did. And if they didn't personally go, they converted people like the Ethiopian eunuch who went back to Africa and went. So the gospel did get spread around the world. Now what's the practical application for you and me? Well, it's right here in verse 13. "But the one who endures to the end will be saved." Now whether it's cataclysmic, catastrophic, huge global events, or whether it's your own personal trials and tribulations, the simple fact is you need to endure to the end. You need to stand firm in your faith. Don't let anything shake you. Hold to God's unchanging hand, as the old hymn would say. and you endure to the end. So it doesn't really matter which view you take on these prophetic scriptures. You need to do the same thing anyway, and that's just hold to God's unchanging hand and trust Him, and keep your eyes open to world events and things like that, and compare them to the Word of God. But mostly it's about your own personal relationship with God. And let's don't miss this in all the drama. All right? And the Left Behind series and all these movies, and they're exciting, they're fascinating, but the main thing, your personal relationship with God. If you endure to the end, you're going to be saved. How's that sound? All right? Hang in there. Come back tomorrow for the next edition of Take 5.